I tend to leave a lot of space. I may have an idea here or there for a particular riff for the horns in one little section, or I may work out a little harmony part, but generally I try to construct an interesting structure in which other musicians will be able to find interesting things to do. And so I very consciously write structure. I don't write every note out. I write things that I know will produce interesting riffs that have interesting relationships between the chords, so that the competent musicians who we work with can find interesting things to do that sound fresh, because the various different intervals that I've chosen I try to keep fresh. I try to stay away from formula writing. And I think one reason that Bo and I made such a match as collaborators is we shared a lot of opinions about music that we didn't even know we shared when we started. But the eclectic nature of the work, the fact that we're committed to doing all kinds of music, not just fast music, not just slow music, not just serious music, not just sad music, but the whole range. To me, it's about expression. You do a funny song and then you turn around and do a sad song. You do a very rocking song and then you turn around and do a very dark, slow ballad, because you're a human and you feel all these things. And so it's just as legitimate to explore each corner of your psyche through music, and to explore as many as you can through music. And that's one thing I think about this band. It's very different from the run of most bands, is that we're very committed to exploring as many corners of our psyche through music as we can. And so it leaves an imprint of our personality on the music much more than it leaves a specific sound. That, you know, that each song can be very, very different from the other one, because a person's mood might be different, or a different person wrote it. And I think, in spite of, like, even when we do a fun song, we're kind of serious about a fun song in a funny way. This is a group of artists who really wants to produce good art. So when you're being funny, you still are committed to doing it well. Like, you're not blowing it off just because it's a funny song. We don't do blow-off songs. Everything we do, we try to really do in the best way we can. And none of us is a virtuoso. So I think we realize that the way you make up for not being a virtuoso on your instrument or in your voice is by having something really important to say. You know, it's like a person who's saying something important can say it without being a virtuoso and still be interesting. Whereas if you have nothing to say, you can make up for it by having a lot of style, you know, and having a virtuoso ability to put over the nothing that you're saying. Or you can borrow other people's messages and appropriate them and say them in your virtuoso style. But for us, it's definitely about the ability to say something interesting. And Bo and I have challenged each other, especially in a very interesting way that has to do with, when in the original Maestro, when I first came on the scene, the songs were a riff would start and it would pretty much carry through the song, and Bo wrote very much in a particular structure. What I did was I came along and showed Bo that I could set any damn words he set to music, no matter where the rhymes were, no matter where the meter was, even if the meter changed 5 times in the course of the song, that I didn't care. I would write the music to fit the words. So he started writing what he wanted to say, instead of writing what fit in a particular rhyme scheme. And I just took it as the challenge to set all these different parts. So you'll be listening to a Maestro song and suddenly there'll be 3 bars of something that don't repeat anywhere else, or that don't even sound like the rest of the song. Or there'll be some odd tag ending to a song that just exists because a message, that's the way it ended. That's the words Bo wrote at the end, and this is the music I set at the end to fit those words. And so there was a lot of feeling of just, let's stretch the pop song format to its absolute limit. And keep it, still do 3-minute songs, still do 4-minute songs, and still be pop in a certain sense, in the best sense of that term, like the Beatles or Cole Porter. That's what I mean when I say pop. But really be intelligent and really break the form open. You know, have as many different parts as the story needs. And With Jenny, there's kind of an offshoot of that. Jenny is a very opposite kind of writer from Bo. Bo will ramble and write you 10 extra verses that he'll leave me to edit or something like that, or he'll edit them first, but he'll write a lot. And so I feel free to like chop a word or change it or something. Jenny will spend the whole day writing out a perfect like half a page. She doesn't want anything changed in that, and nothing really needs to be changed. It's got balance. And also a lot of times she doesn't really write in rhyme. She almost writes prose poems. A lot of her things don't even have rhymes in them. They have rhythms inherent in them. So setting a Jenny piece is a totally different kind of challenge, because you're talking about creating a rhythmic structure that somehow carries through the meanings of the rhythms of her song. So a song like Early Nunley was a very difficult song to write, and if you look at it formally, it's all over the shop. There's hardly 4 chords that repeat in that song except for the chorus, because the words had this rhythm in them that defied the logic of simple 4-bar music. So it's a very difficult song to write, and it was very difficult to learn. I still forget where I am in it, even though we've been doing it for a year. It's still there many times on stage where I'm like, okay, what's this particular group? What does this do? And if you listen to that song, you really hear the influence of the band on a song. I wrote the bare bones piano that I still basically play. And it was Bob and Jenny and Ned and Mark and everyone who came up with all the little odd bits of color that shaped the song so much, the little punctuations of music, the strange harmonies and all that. That was stuff that came out of the group vision. And if you were doing this music with any other group of people, it would definitely sound different.